You've heard of my tips for gut health or hormonal health, but there are two crucial areas of health that most of us, especially in today's world, need to pay more attention to, and most of us don't. I'm talking about your eye health and your brain health. Are you staring at a screen pretty much all day? Do you scroll on TikTok when you wake up, work on a computer all day, and then binge Real Housewives at night? You probably need to do more to protect your eyes against blue light. Prolonged exposure to the blue light from our screens or even natural sunlight can lead to digital eye fatigue, dry eyes, blurred vision, and headaches, and can impact our ability to focus, our sleep quality, and our energy levels during the day because it messes with our circadian rhythms. Since screens are pretty unavoidable, I have a really important wellness girl tip. Get some lutein and zeaxanthin into your diet. These antioxidants are naturally occurring macular carotenoids found in foods like certain fruits and egg yolk, and they help maintain eye and brain health. Research shows that they work effectively to filter out blue light and help promote eye and brain health at all ages. Unfortunately, like other nutrients like vitamin D, our bodies can't produce lutein or zeaxanthin on its own, so we need to get it from the foods and supplements that we consume. You can find more information at www.lutamax.com/LFEA and find a high-quality lutein and zeaxanthin supplement to promote eye health at lutamax.com/where to buy. Find the links in the show description below for lots of good info on how to take care of your eyes and brain.
Why does making friends as an adult feel so
What
hard?
should I wear on a first
What the
date?
hell is a foreign?
But that
Why
hookup
is
was
buying my
not
first
good.
home so
What do I want my
frustrating?
life to look like in 5 years?
We want to know too.
Since 2012, the Everygirl has been an online destination to help women around the world achieve the life of their dreams. Now, we're excited to bring you the same inspiring content with the Everygirl podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of the Everygirl podcast. I hope everyone had a very happy International Women's Day and celebrated the joy and beauty and power in being a woman. I like to say that every day is International Women's Day on the Everygirl podcast. Today's episode is packed with wellness advice. There is truly something for everyone, no matter where you are in your wellness journey. Keri Glassman is a renowned celebrity nutritionist and the founder and CEO of Nutritious Life, who has been featured on news outlets such as The View, Vogue Magazine, and Women's Health. We chat about how to get more protein and how much protein we actually need to feel more toned. We talk about how to balance healthy eating without restricting, eating strategically to lower inflammation, and so much more. Keri shares a lot of tangible advice in this episode, like her supplement routine and a 4-day, quote, cleanse that she does when she needs a reset. And it's actually a really healthy way to think of a reset. It's not like a toxic, like atone for your sins, drink only juice kind of cleanse. It's like refreshing the intention, connecting to your body. And as she explains it, the goal is to set you up for after the cleanse is over. Just wait until you hear her explanation of how certain foods can actually mimic GLP-1s, which you may have heard that word to describe the popular weight loss drugs. There's just so much misinformation and confusion and questions about nutrition that Keri sheds a lot of light on in this episode. Welcome, Keri Glassman, to the Everygirl podcast. Being able to talk to so many amazing women, especially women in health that have dedicated their life to health, I found that every one of them has like some kind of aha moment or a turning point. So what was your moment that led you to dedicate your life to helping people get healthier?
So it's so funny that you're asking me that because I ask people that all the time. You probably know that I not only am I registered dietitian nutritionist for 25 years, but I also certify people to be nutrition and wellness coaches. And one thing that I always ask is, what was that moment, that light bulb moment that you can look back on in life? There is either a light bulb moment, a triggering event, but I always say, so mine, it wasn't actually one triggering event. It was more of all of these little signs in my life that pointed me in this direction. And I always say that I was truly born to do this. So I'm going to give you a couple examples Whenever I go to visit my mom, she still has that old school recipe box. And there's the recipe cards in it. And there's one card in it that she kept from, I think I was 7 years old, and I wrote it with a magic marker. And it literally was called Schlizzard Steak. And it was like, you go outside and you find a lizard and you pop the warts. And like, it is so funny. But the point is, she was like, you were always running around outside being active and you always were interested kind of in food. And I'm like, well, I hope I really never made that and ate that. But it's just funny. Like, the point was, I was sort of like getting outside, getting out into nature, running around being active. And also I had this interest in cooking and food and recipes. There was all of these little signs. Another example, my friend Amy loves to remind me that in 7th grade science class, Mr. Stasek science class, I said to her, I'm craving almonds. My body must need vitamin E. And I always joke that like, I clearly was just being a big old dork. Like, I have no idea where I read it. But the point of that is that I read it somewhere, probably in some like, Teen Beat or 17 magazine or something. And I absorbed it. I was interested in it. I connected with that. Right. So to me, my interest in nutrition and wellness, it was like, always a little bit there. And I was an athlete, fast forward college. I actually played 2 sports in college. And when all of my friends were putting on their skinny jeans on Saturday night, and they had been, this was like the fat-free era. Everybody was eating, fat-free candy, have as many Swedish fish as you want, as long as they're fat-free, and drinking Diet Cokes. That didn't really resonate for me. I'm like, that's not healthy. And I can't fuel myself for the athletic field. But meanwhile, they were all fitting into their skinny jeans on the Saturday night. And I was gaining, I gained the freshman, not even 15, but the freshman 25. So I said, how can I fuel myself to be healthy and fit, but also like to perform on the athletic field and to fit into the skinny jeans and perform? That was when I really became interested in nutrition. I was very aware of when I slept well, I was more motivated to eat well. When I ate well, I performed better on the athletic field, but I also studied better. And then I continued to be more motivated to eat well. The seeds of a nutritious life were really born during that time when I sort of just naturally and intuitively connected the dots between all of these pillars.
It's fascinating how it's been a part of you your whole life.
Yeah.
The almond example too is super interesting to me because when I was growing up, and I know when you were growing up, like you're mentioning the fat-free phase, health, as far as I knew it, was like, it's to lose weight. It's
Yes.
avoid fats and avoid carbs and track and micromanage your food. And I was like, I want nothing to do with health. So the fact that you grew up in that kind of culture, but still resonated with the little information that was like, oh, vitamin E is in almonds, and that can actually make you feel good. And that's health is so amazing.
And when I gained weight in college, I remember thinking like, I'm a healthy person. Like, I should be a healthy weight. So why me, who is athletic and trying to live healthy, why did I gain 20, 25 pounds? Like, what is going on here with the way I'm eating? Like, my natural way was to be at a pretty average, healthy body weight. But why was it so difficult? And it was so difficult because of all the wrong messages we were getting. We know you can't just eat as much fat-free food as you want and not gain weight. It's all sugar, right? The messages were so wrong. The information was so wrong that it's really like, it's maddening when you think about like, had we just received good quality information, like there's so many people that would not have these turbulent relationships with food.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, we could go into that in diet culture for hours and hours. I know that
I
wasn't,
have so much.
I
To
know
say
there's
on
so much we could say on that. That
Oh,
was
yeah,
just
you and
a
I
little,
could go off on that.
we could.
I always say health is the currency to live your best life. Like, health is not the end goal. We're not trying to like heal our bodies just to heal our bodies. We're trying to heal our bodies so we get to have the career we want, so
Exactly.
that we get to spend more time with our
Exactly.
families. And you practice what you preach. And so I love hearing where that stems from, because it wasn't obvious to look at health that way in our culture.
Yeah, absolutely. You're totally right. I've always been really interested in fueling the body to feel good. And what I always say is, listen, I'm not above wanting to look good in my skinny jeans. Of course I do. And skinny jeans are back, actually, I hear.
They
So that's even
are.
better. I was using that example from college, but it's actually funny.
They're
The
back.
irony is that skinny jeans are back. Believe me, we all want to look good and feel good. And there's no shame in wanting to be a certain weight and look good in something. My whole thing is just that you can achieve that as a byproduct of living a healthy life and feeling good and having a healthy relationship with food. So you can be healthy, you can have a healthy relationship with food, and you can be at your goal weight, again, as a byproduct of doing all of these other things, as opposed to fitting into this certain size dress or something because you've been like forcing it so hard and then you kind of break or you're miserable doing it, then it's not worth it. Like you said, then what's the point there, right?
What's the point? Totally. What worked for you to get you to feel like you feel good with your weight? Because I know a lot of people ask that question, something kind of similar of like, I feel like I'm doing everything right. I'm eating healthy. I'm
Mm.
exercising. Why do I not feel good in my body?
Yeah, it's a big, big question. So I think it's twofold because there's multiple things going on, right? In order to sort of get to the point of feeling good in your body, there has to be some acceptance of where you are. Because if you're constantly hating on yourself, you could be 30 pounds, 40 pounds overweight. It doesn't even matter where you are, right? But there has to be some acceptance of where you are in that time and place in your life. So it might be, I desire to be a thinner weight, but I still am going to accept what my body can do for me right now. And I'm going to respect it and treat it well by giving it the food I know that it needs to nurture it. And I'm going to do other things that it needs, like getting sleep. I'm not going to torture it by, working out 3 hours a day when I know that's not really good for me and that's actually hurting my body. I'm not going to torture it by depriving my body of nutrients. So there's a certain amount of like respect and care you can have for your body while you're trying to achieve other results. And I think that that's where people make a really big mistake is they hate on themselves. And I say, I'm not saying you have to be happy with where you are. I'm not saying you have to just accept that because love your body at every size and all of that. I think like it almost is, it's like it's like toxic positivity sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's helpful for a lot of people. And you can absolutely have goals of, you want washboard abs? You can have a goal of that, but you can also like feel good about yourself at the same time. It's not bad to want to have a weight loss goal, but in order to achieve that, there has to be I really respect myself at this weight and it's okay. And this is where I am in life. So there has to be that acceptance to some extent. And that I think allows people to treat their bodies better. Then the weight loss can be a byproduct, again, of doing all of those good things. But if there isn't a certain amount of respect for your body wherever you are, and it could be because you were sick, it could be because you just had horrible habits, it could be you were in a bad relationship or something. I mean, who knows the reasons why you got there, but that's where you are in life. So let's accept where we are and do what we can to make changes to feel good. That's a really huge, important step that I think people forget. It's a certain amount of acceptance, but also acknowledging the room for change.
I love that element of respect for your body. Respect is like
Yeah.
the key missing ingredient. And so many people can try really hard to practice body positivity, but they
Mhm.
don't have that respect element. And I see how crucial that is because when you learn body respect, when you respect your body, then it starts being like, I'm making decisions because I love my body, not I'm
Right.
making decisions because I hate my body and want to change it. You're like, I know what my body deserves, so I'm going to nourish it and treat it a certain way
Totally.
that it deserves.
And I guess what I'm saying is I feel like some people feel shamed from
Yes.
the stop saying anything negative about your body. There has been a little bit of this toxic positivity around loving your body to the point that it's almost like shames people for just being honest about where they're at. Like, no, it's okay. You also are allowed to just be human and accept that and say, I don't really like the way I look in these jeans, but you know what? I'm still going to have a great day. My body is still moving me from point A to point B, and I'm going to still respect it and give it what it needs today.
I'm sure you get this question all the time. I get this question all the time of people being like, oh, I had such a bad body positive day. And they're mad at themselves for not
Right.
being able. So then you're like adding more shame on yourself because you
100%.
didn't look at your body perfectly. It's just too much pressure. So we have to relieve the pressure. If you have a day where you're like, I hate my body, or you're like, I don't feel happy, I want to change it. We have to not put our pressure on ourselves to be mad at ourselves for feeling that way. It's like
Exactly.
crazy. Like we can't win as
Exactly.
women. We just can't win.
Exactly. Exactly. I know. You're absolutely right.
I'm curious how you find this balance because I think this is what's really hard for a lot of people listening is you want to make good decisions with your food. You want to find food that nourishes you, that
Mhm.
makes you feel good, that's working towards the health goals that you have. But then we also talk so much about not restricting yourself, not getting into this place of toxic diet culture, allowing food to be a joy. How do you strike this balance between nourishing yourself and
Mhm.
choosing foods that don't cause inflammation, won't cause symptoms,
Mhm.
without getting into that restrictive, toxic relationship with food with both your clients and with yourself?
Number one, you have to fuel yourself enough. if you're starving and you're hungry all the time and you're not fueling yourself enough, you're going to crave the worst types of foods. So first, you have to learn to eat adequate amounts of food. I'm a big breakfast person. Some people, believe in intermittent fasting and not having breakfast, but I even think even if you are intermittent fasting, you still need to have that first meal of the day. But I'm a big breakfast person, and I think that is absolutely key. But before you even have breakfast, one thing I like people to do in the morning, just to sort of set a positive tone for the day, have a glass of water with lemon. So one, we know being hydrated helps us, for many different reasons, but one, we don't think we're hungry when we're really thirsty. So that's one reason. But there's lots of different reasons we need to stay hydrated. But in the morning, that one glass of water with, I always say with lemon, just because getting a little bit of vitamin C, but it's more about the mental aspect of it. Like, I am doing something good for myself today. It's a sign I am treating my body well. I am being good to it. Then let's say you have your breakfast. And I always say, you want to lay a really good foundation for breakfast. So you want to have something that's going to help stabilize your blood sugar. We want a breakfast that has a combination of protein. We know protein can help stabilize our blood sugar. We want something with fiber because fiber also will help control our blood sugar and help fill us up. So protein provides satiety, helps keep us satisfied. And usually high fiber foods are also going to have some, let's say you have berries. They're going to have water volume. They're also going to have antioxidants, which we also know are healthy for us. But from a blood sugar perspective, we're getting some fiber in berries. Let's say we're getting some protein from eggs. Now you have this balanced breakfast. You've laid a good foundation. You've fueled yourself. You don't feel starving. You feel mentally focused. You're able to have energy to go and do work. And guess what? You're more motivated to then go and take the time and choose a healthy lunch. So going back to your initial question is, but how do you do that without restricting? It's one, saying in order to feel good, I actually have to fuel myself a certain amount so I'm not starving. The minute you become starving, you crave the things that are going to give you a quick fix. And the things that are going to give you a quick fix are going to be things like sugar, refined carbohydrates, the worst type of food. So the more you can lean into that, keeping your blood sugar level stable, fueling yourself, the easier it is to make healthy choices and to not dive into those unhealthy foods. Now, that doesn't mean just because you had eggs and berries for breakfast that you're not going to maybe want some French fries at dinner that night when you're out with friends. But I'll tell you that if you have had that good breakfast, made a good healthy choice at lunch, you're feeling positive. You fueled yourself. You feel good that you've done a good job. If you skipped breakfast, were starving at lunch and had a slice of pizza at the office, and then you get to the bar with friends to watch football and there's French fries, you're going to be a lot more likely to have those French fries than if you had those eggs and berries and then not been starving, taken the time to go walk outside and get that lunch with a little bit of sweet potato in it and a little bit of chickpeas and maybe some grilled chicken in that beautiful salad that you're having. One good behavior leads to the next. So then let's say, though, you've had that healthy day and you still are at the bar and you have those French fries, you're in a much better place to make a better decision. So then you're able to say, oh, do I really want those fries? And I work with people also on teaching them how to indulge in a conscious way versus screw it, screw the day. I'm just going to have the fries. It's more, no, I'm not starving. I'm feeling good about my choices today. So what would be a good choice? The fries look really good, but you know what? I'm going to order. This bar actually has some, even if it's grilled chicken wings, you know what I mean? They have some baked wings. I'm going to have some baked wings. I know I'm going to get a little protein in, and then I'll have a few fries on the side and I'll drink lots of water and I'm going to skip the drinks tonight. That's a much better choice than the skip breakfast, okay, slice of pizza at lunch because you're kind of feeling crappy anyway and you don't take the time to go and get the salad and then you end up at the bar and you just have a big basket of fries. Very big difference. You have to learn that you need fuel. I actually have to eat to be able to make better eating decisions. There's so much more to learn there, but that's just sort of the first thing for that person that's in that kind of tug of war of going back and forth, depriving themselves, eating unhealthy, depriving themselves, eating healthy. We have to first get to that point of understanding that you have to fuel yourself enough to be able to even put yourself in a position where you're able to make good decisions.
I love that perspective so much too, because I think so often people struggle with it because they're it's either or, it's all or nothing. Either I'm eating super healthy or I'm not eating healthy. And instead of looking at it I just ruin my whole day if I have one basket of French fries, to look at it the priority is just getting nutrients in your body. So then you're laying that foundation to make conscious, intentional decisions to balance that, what really feels like joy to me, and what
Yeah.
do I actually not need and would just be eating unintentionally.
Well, and it's funny you're saying that all or nothing attitude, because something I have been saying, again, I've been in practice for almost 25 years. And one thing I have been saying to my clients this entire time is every single meal is a Monday morning. Every
Mhm.
meal is a unique opportunity to make the best choice possible for the given moment. So if you have a boozy brunch on Saturday, that does not mean that you then say, screw it until Monday morning. It means that that Saturday night, even if you're out to dinner with your friends, maybe the old you would have said, boozy brunch, whatever, I'm just going to get this penne alla vodka for dinner. The new you could say, listen, every meal's an individual opportunity. I have a new chance right now to make a good decision. And there's great grilled salmon on the menu. So maybe that Saturday night dinner is going to be grilled salmon and broccoli rabe. And you wake up the next morning feeling great and you go for a run instead of that boozy brunch turning into penne alla vodka, sleeping late, feeling a little like sugar hangover and crappy and skipping your workout on Sunday and then saying, okay, Monday morning, here we go again. Right. So like learning to really do that. But that is huge. No matter what, if you take every meal as an individual opportunity and you make the best choice you can in that moment, you're going to be okay. Like and I listen, it's easier said than done. I'm not saying that doesn't take more work, but that is something that has always resonated with people in terms of helping them get over that hump. And once you have that unhealthy meal and indulge like that, I mean, we all do it. I do it, of course. We all do it. But once you dive into like, wait, this next meal can be my healthiest meal, even if it is Saturday night or Wednesday lunch, whatever it is, like if you decide it's going to be healthy, it's amazing how like you kind of get right back on track. You're not supposed to be eating perfectly healthy every single meal, every single day, but at least you're not on this big, massive roller coaster.
Yeah, I love that mindset of every meal is a new opportunity to nourish your body. The way I think of it, if I do have a boozy brunch where I'm like, did not have a nutrient all morning, I'm like, I need nutrients more than I
Yes,
even did. Like,
yes,
so I'm going to make that
yes.
decision even because I did that, not like, well, it's all going out the window. What does it
Yeah,
matter anyway? It matters more. My body needs a little bit more fiber and protein and fats to balance my blood sugar after I just had 5 mimosas,
totally. And you're doing exactly what we were talking about before of like respecting your body. Like I need to
Yes.
give my body some greens. I'm respecting it. So that's okay that I did that, but I need to respect my body and do this. Yeah. I mean, I was queen of the all or nothing black and white mentality with eating when I was in college. Queen of that.
Really?
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah, totally. When I sort of adopted that attitude of every meal, that was key for me.
I mean, mindset is kind of everything when it comes to
Everything.
food. It
Yeah.
really is. I want to get into some of the nitty gritty of nutrition with you
Okay.
because everybody is obsessed with protein. So
Mhm.
I want to ask you a little bit more about this. This is one of the most common questions that we get from our
Mhm.
listeners. So can you first explain why TikTok and wellness girlies, like why are they so obsessed with protein? Like I want to know specifically like how does protein impact factors like weight, hormones, gut
Yep.
health, like the things that we care about?
Protein we need for everything, right? We have protein for hair, skin, nails, muscles, ligaments, hormones, enzymes. We need proteins for all these different things in our bodies. Protein is a macronutrient, we know. So it's one of the three nutrients, protein, carbs, and fats, that actually provide calories, that give us energy. We need all three of those macronutrients. Why, though, has protein become so popular right now? I don't know exactly why and how it's become so much more popular. I actually just think it's like, there was the time where carbs were the devil. And then it was sort of like, okay, we know we need fat, healthy fat's good for us. It shouldn't be doing the fat-free thing. And now I kind of feel like protein's just having its moment. But the truth is we need protein, we need carbs, and we need fat. We need all three of those macronutrients. But do I think protein is really important? It's absolutely important for all the reasons I just mentioned. It's always been important, always, forever and ever been important. It's going to continue to be important forever. Are we going to be seeing TikTok influencers talking about protein in 5 years as much as they are now? Maybe not. It might not be as popular, but is it going to be just as important? Absolutely. The one thing I will say is that I think, during that time when like the fat-free era that I was saying, college, carbs definitely were played up way too much. It was sort of like, have as many carbs as you want, as long as they're fat-free. And we know that that information was horrible information and really led to a massive obesity epidemic and was horrible, horrible, horrible advice. So I think like maybe some of this like protein love comes from that. I think some of the protein love also comes from some types of dieting styles that actually are very effective in terms of weight loss, like Atkins and keto. We know that those are always high in protein. And Do those help you lose weight? I'm not saying that I'm for them at all, but did people actually lose weight on those types of diets? Absolutely. So I think that that is one of the reasons also it became popular. And then also there's this whole trend right now where, and again, this shouldn't be a trend. This is something that should stick around forever. But in terms of, building muscle, and muscle is so key for our overall metabolic health, for managing blood sugar. It's important for our longevity. We need muscles for so many different reasons, right? So I think the fact that like protein and how it aids in muscle mass, and we know you still have to lift weights in order to get your muscle, but you need protein and to lift weights. But also in terms of women then with aging, sarcopenia is losing muscle mass. Now, when I got my master's in clinical nutrition, the amount of protein that was like the recommended amount is about 0.8 to like 1.2 grams per kilogram of body weight. That's very little, because think about it. Instead of even 0.8 to 1.2, let's just say 1. That would be 1 gram per kilogram, right? That's less than half of what we're sort of seeing now as the recommendation, which is the 1 gram to 1 pound of ideal body weight. And it's very different from what many people had learned years ago. Do you want me to go on there about that a little bit? Because I have some thoughts on that.
Yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts on that, because there is that huge thing of like, we are not getting enough protein, and especially if you're working out. So I would love for you to talk on that. And like, how do we know how much we need? How do we fit in more if we don't feel like we're getting enough?
Yeah. So that 0.8 to 1.2, again, that number per kilogram, that was really for your minimum needs, so that you would not be deficient, so that you could have your the basic needs to create those hormones, have those enzymes, but really basic needs. The government recommendations were about 15 to 20% of your calories should come from protein. I mean, my first book I wrote in 2006, I always said you should think about your protein, carbs, and fats as you need about a third. You need about a third of your calories to come from protein, which would be more obviously like 30%, not the 15 to 20. So I've always been we need more protein than those recommendations that are really just to help you meet your basic needs, not to live optimally. Now, so much more research on just the fact that, protein is so important, again, for all of these other reasons, to help us maintain muscle mass, to help us build and repair everything. That 1 gram per pound of body weight is definitely better than where we are at that low number. It's very hard, though, to necessarily meet that amount. So let's say you are 130 pounds, 130 grams of protein is a lot of protein to get in a day. And I also think it's not necessarily necessary for everyone to be at that number. So I usually say about 0.75 to 1 gram of ideal body weight. So let's just say that gets that person to about 100 to 110. Then you divide that up throughout the day, and you're getting like 30 to 35 grams per meal. That's not that difficult to meet, right? If you sit down and have a real meal, that's not that difficult. And let's say a meal is a little bit less, but then you have a high protein snack, like you can do it. You can get that in. The other thing that I like people to think about is don't stress too much about even that number of 30 at breakfast, 30 at lunch, 35 at dinner. Don't stress too much. Focus more on making sure that every meal has some protein, and making sure that every meal has some high quality protein for most people. Now, some people have certain specific goals. Maybe it is gaining a certain amount of muscle mass. There are people with very specific goals, but for the average person out there, if you focus on getting in protein, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you're focusing on that being good, high quality protein from whole, real foods, maybe you need to supplement with a protein shake here or there, and that's totally fine. I do that too. But for the most part, getting high quality protein multiple times throughout the day, you're going to be pretty good. And not just meet your needs of that like 0.8 low number, but actually meet like your needs,
what you want to
actually, live optimally. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's so helpful, because I know there is such that obsession with the number of like 1 gram per pound, or it is like you have to have 30 grams. So let's say like they are strength training, they're trying to lose fat, gain muscle. If you're getting 0.75 grams of protein per pound, is that good enough in order to see changes? Because I think that's where people get that obsession is like, well, it's just not enough. Is that enough to see the results you want to see?
So first of all, I'll just say that it's going to be individual for every single person. It depends on so many other things. It depends on, are you hydrating properly? Are you on a good fitness plan? Like, are you actually weight training properly to build muscle? That's the biggest factor of all. You need the protein, but if you're not actually weight training properly to build muscle, it doesn't matter. Are you resting and recovering so that your muscles are actually recovering and able to then build? Are you sleeping properly? Are you taking those rest days? So there's so many other factors and things to consider. Could it be absolutely enough for someone to get 0.75 grams of protein per pound of ideal body weight, and the rest of their diet is healthy and they're sleeping and they're exercising properly and doing all the things? Can that be enough? Absolutely. It's really going to be individual. So it's sort of like, see how you're doing. And are you doing all of these other things? Are you gaining strength? Are you increasing weight? Are you getting in all of the other, nutrients you need, like the antioxidants you need that help recover and reduce inflammation? There's so many other factors. That's definitely not like a yes or no answer. It really depends, but could it be enough? Absolutely.
Is there a right timing to intake protein for muscle growth and fat loss? Like, do you need it before and after working out, heavier in the morning? Like, what's the right timing?
So great question. I love people to get it in the morning, like I said, to lay that good foundation. I like people to get it multiple times throughout the day. You're only going to break down and absorb so much at one time. So you don't want to kind of get it all at once. That's why that multiple times a day is really important. There is a thought that within an hour and a half of working out, that it can be more beneficial. However, there's also research that shows as long as you're getting actually the amount of protein that you need within the next day, within the 24 hours following a big workout, you're still okay and able to build your muscle. So as long as you're getting it consistently throughout the day, you're okay.
And if someone is working out a lot, they want to hit certain goals and they want to add in more protein, do you have some tips or hacks to add in more protein in your day?
Yeah. The easiest thing to do is to look at what you're already doing and add on. So if you're already having eggs for breakfast and you feel like you want to add in a little bit more, maybe you add in one more egg. If you're already having a salad with, let's say, grilled chicken for lunch, and you go to one of those salad bars, add in an extra scoop. I feel like staying in your routine and just adding on
more.
It is the most simple. And it's listen, it's not exciting, but it's the most simple, easy way to do it versus I'm going to make an extra meal every day. That's not going to happen. For someone else who feels like, they have really enough at those meals, that's they don't really want to do that, adding in a protein smoothie. And maybe that's something you have right after your workout. That's an easy way. And again, I like people to get most of their protein from whole real foods, but something like a smoothie with a great protein powder can absolutely be a great way to supplement, to just add a little bit of a boost. The other thing that I like people to look at, is there any sort of wasted calories that you're having that could easily be turned into protein? So what I mean there is a lot of people snack after dinner. They either have a little dessert or they have a little snack, something maybe you're the type of person, even when you have your healthy dinner and then you go and you sit down to Netflix and you have some popcorn, even it's a healthy snack, or you have some grapes. Maybe that's a place where you could swap that out and have something like a Greek yogurt or, cottage cheese with some berries and cinnamon instead. And so that way you're getting in some good additional protein instead of just sort of these little snacky, even healthy food that you don't really need the calories from.
Picture this. Your alarm goes off in the morning and you reach for your phone to scroll through TikTok before getting out of bed. You play a YouTube video or an episode of the Everygirl podcast while you get ready for the day. You work for hours on your computer before taking a lunch break where you inevitably watch Instagram stories while you eat, and then you're back to your laptop. After you're done working, you make dinner and put on the new episode of Summer House or rewatch New Girl for the 1,000th time. Most of us are straining our eyes all day long. Because of how heavily we rely on screens, our blue light exposure has skyrocketed over the past few decades. Prolonged exposure to blue light can lead to digital eye strain, dry eyes, blurred vision, and headaches, and can impact our focus and concentration, sleep quality, and energy levels. And most of us are being exposed to blue light nearly all day until we shut our eyes at night. Lutein and zeaxanthin are naturally occurring antioxidants that help maintain eye health. Research has shown that they work effectively against blue light to help promote eye and brain health. You can find these nutrients in many convenient supplements in addition to foods like certain fruits or vegetables or even egg yolks. So whether you like to take a pill and just not think about it, or you're a gummy vitamin kind of girl, you can find more information at www.lutamax.com/LFEA and find a high-quality lutein and zeaxanthin supplement to promote eye health at lutamax.com/where to buy. Find the links in the show description below. You talk a lot about anti-inflammatory.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly is inflammation and how does it impact our overall health?
Inflammation is basically our body protecting itself. I mean, think about it. Like when you get a cut and it turns red, your body's protecting itself. That's considered acute inflammation. And that acute inflammation is actually a really good thing. The problem, and we talk about inflammation being linked to heart disease, diabetes, cancer, wrinkles, neuronal degeneration, all of these things. We're talking about chronic inflammation. Okay. And it's that chronic inflammation that we want to avoid. And we know that like people look at, there's all different lab markers that you can look at to see what your inflammation is like. But that's what we're talking about. When you have that chronic inflammation, it can affect you in all kinds of ways. In your gut, like you're not going to absorb the nutrients that you should. You might be tired all the time. You might feel brain foggy. You might not heal and recover from your workouts as well. Like inflammation can affect you in all kinds of ways. And ultimately, like I said, inflammation is linked to all of those unhealthy conditions that we think of, again, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, everything. So what else causes inflammation in our body? We all have these compounds in our body called free radicals. Think of them as sort of like wild card, like bad guy molecules. They're the villains. They're roaming through your body. They are just waiting to cause cancer, cause a wrinkle, cause diabetes. They're just waiting to do damage. So an anti-inflammatory diet is really, every healthy diet should be anti-inflammatory. Antioxidants, come in and squash those free radicals, either destroy them, neutralize them, stop them from doing harm. Antioxidants are the compounds found in food, and we also create some of them on our own. But those are the compounds in food that really stop the bad guys in their tracks. Where do we find antioxidants? So antioxidants are found in things like fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. That's why like fruits and vegetables that are brightly colored, they're loaded with all of those types of nutrients like people have heard of, like resveratrol and anthocyanins and carotenoids. Some of them are giving fruits and vegetables their color, but they're also doing good. They're fighting, again, the bad guy free radicals that are causing inflammation. That's a key reason why we want to have an anti-inflammatory diet. So just starting with that, with the fruits and vegetables, brightly colored fruits and vegetables, all kinds of antioxidants like vitamin C. So vitamin C found in citrus fruit. Vitamin C fights free radicals. Green veggies and other brightly colored like red peppers and mangoes and carrots, they're going to have these nutrients called lutein and zeaxanthin. Lutein and zeaxanthin are two types of carotenoids. They protect our eyes. And so even especially from blue light, they act actually as like blue light blockers. There's 600 types of carotenoids, but lutein and zeaxanthin are the only two that are in the macula of the eye. They're concentrated in the macula of the eye, and they actually help, again, protect us from all of that blue light. And they're also key for cognition. So that's just an example of two antioxidants that play a specific role in your eyes and brain health. And it's because they're basically protecting you from the bad guy compounds causing damage. They're acting as like the shield there. They're protecting you. So that's just a specific example of where nutrients in an anti-inflammatory diet come into play. And then I'll give you a couple others as far as an anti-inflammatory diet goes. Omega-3 essential fatty acids is another really good example. We know chia seeds, hemp seeds, fatty fish, flaxseed. So those omega-3 essential fatty acids, one of the reasons they're so powerful is they are anti-inflammatory. They help reduce inflammation. And then probiotic foods. So probiotic foods like yogurt and kefir, they help keep our gut healthy. And our gut is a key in reducing inflammation in our body, because if our gut is inflamed, we're not going to produce the types of good bacteria that we need. Our good bacteria isn't going to do its job. You're not going to be able to absorb the nutrients that you should be absorbing the way you should be. So pre and probiotics for good gut health, omega-3 essential fatty acids, and then all of those different fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds for all of the different antioxidants and phytonutrients. Super, super, super important. I actually will say one other thing. What is inflammatory is sugar, highly packaged processed foods with unhealthy chemicals, and fried fatty foods. Obviously, healthy fat is great for you and anti-inflammatory, but fried foods, highly packaged processed foods, and then sugar, going to be really inflammatory.
This is where nutrition excites me so much. And I hope that everyone listening, you're excited too, because to me, it's so freaking cool to look at food as medicine. Like, I love the example you gave of having this antioxidant, this nutrient can help the way that your eyes respond to blue light and the damage that that's doing, and it's helping to protect your eyes. That's so freaking cool to me. You can have certain foods, and those antioxidants are literally medicine for your body. If you want to be looking at a computer all the time because that's what you have to do for your job, you know to have this antioxidant in your diet in order to support your eyesight. Like, to me, that's so freaking cool. Like, that's so much more
It
interesting
is
than
so
like
cool.
fats.
Yeah.
These carbohydrates are good for weight loss. This is so much cooler.
It is so cool. But you know what's also so kind of like, not to be negative. I'm not a negative one. That's not really my vibe. But it's so sad in a way that, like, why has it gotten to the place that we have to think of it as medicine? This should just be the food we're all eating.
You're
right?
so right.
It should
You're
just
so
be, this
right.
is what food is. Food is medicine, but like, we shouldn't have to look at it as, oh, wow, we can use food as medicine. It should be like, this is just what all of the food we're eating on a daily basis should be. It's just that our food system has become so laden with these terrible, unhealthy foods that do the exact opposite, that not only are not helpful, they are so harmful for us. And listen, I love a good cookie every once in a while. I love a good something. I am not one to not indulge. Like, I get it. But when you really think about how far we've come, that we now have to think of healthy food as like healthy, no, it's just food.
It's so true. It's
Right?
And,
It's just
the other
food.
crap is actually not really food. Like, our
Yeah.
body does not recognize it as food. That's why it's causing inflammation,
Mhm.
because our body is not intaking that chemical, being like, oh, this is nourishment for me. This is supposed to be food.
Yeah.
It doesn't recognize that substance.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's so, you're so right of like, it shouldn't be like, let's use food as medicine. It should be like, food is medicine. That's
Right.
how we use it.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
think about this a lot because I do a lot of like cycle syncing and will eat for different phases of my cycle and things like that. And it was so interesting to me because I had to learn it. And I was like, if this were centuries ago, I would intuitively know this. I would know when I'm
Yes.
in this part of my cycle, I need more calories. I need
Yep.
higher protein, more iron. When I'm in this phase of my cycle, I need more fiber, more fresh fruits. Like, I would know this intuitively. And I've
Totally.
been working to get to the point where I am more intuitive about it. But like, we have been so trained out of our inner knowing of
Yeah.
how we eat food and use it for our body and like to listen to our bodies. That's how it's meant to
Yeah,
be. That's what our
exactly.
body has been built and evolved to know how to do, that we have kind of like trained it out of.
Exactly. Exactly.
For me, that was when nutrition changed and the way that I ate changed, was when I started learning, oh, foods can do this. Like, this one food
Yeah.
can do all these things for my brain and my gut and my heart health. Going back to the conversation we had earlier of how do we find that balance of like not restricting, but wanting to nourish our bodies. That's what changed it for me, was that I learned what foods could do, which again should be intuitive and we've trained ourselves out of. But then I started being like, whoa, I want to eat this because this is going to
Exactly.
help me live my best life. This is going to help me show up to this interview better. This is going to help me be happier in my relationship. Like, this is the kind of like the currency, again, to live our best life. That is so much different than looking at it of, these are the foods I'm supposed to eat and these are the foods I'm not supposed to eat.
100%. You're absolutely right. It's like, I deserve to have these good foods in my body. And then when you start to feel good, you want to continue to feel good eating good foods.
Yes, you feel how good it makes you feel, that you're like, I don't want to go back. I want to keep feeling this good. It's so true. Okay, I have another question for you. This is something I've seen a lot on TikTok again, and you're the perfect person to ask about it. GLP-1s, I know, have been a very big conversation. Obviously, people may be familiar with it because these are what people call these like weight loss drugs. I've now seen this word being associated with a lot of food. I just saw someone post a GLP-1 soup recipe. Can you explain, first of all, what are GLP-1s, a quick background for people listening, and then can certain foods increase GLP-1s
Yeah.
naturally?
Okay. Well, I'm just going to give the spoiler here. Yes, certain foods can. I want people to know because I think it's something people are like, wait, what? What do you mean? This has really gotten out of control. Okay, so GLP-1s, most people right now, when you hear GLP-1s, what do you think of? Like, what do you think of when I say GLP-1s?
The weight loss drug.
Right, exactly. So people think of the drug. Those are what are actually called GLP-1 RAs, receptor agonists. That's the drug that mimics your GLP-1. GLP-1, it's actually glucagon-like peptide. Glucagon-like peptide is a hormone. By the way, a hormone, meaning it is made from protein. Going back to protein, bringing it full circle here, this is one of the reasons we need to eat protein to build things in our body like our own GLP-1. But so glucagon-like peptide is a hormone we make in our body, in our small intestine for the most part. So that hormone is what these drugs is now mimicking. But GLP-1s, when you hear GLP-1s, it's sort of like saying the word insulin, right? You can take insulin in a shot, but we have insulin in our body. So GLP-1 we have. That is the first thing that I think people are surprised because what they think of when they hear GLP-1s is they think of the medication. So that's something we need to remember. So when people are thinking about going on a GLP-1, there's a time and a place. I am not anti-GLP-1 medication. There is absolutely a time and a place. But I want to answer the question you asked about, though. There's many things that we can do to actually help support our own GLP-1 production. Getting adequate protein can help us produce our own GLP-1. Getting adequate fiber to feed our gut microbiome to create the bacteria we need that also affect our GLP-1. When we eat protein foods, again, remember how I talked about that it provides satiety? The hormone GLP-1, when that is released, what it is doing is it is helping us feel more full and satisfied. It's sending signals to our brain. It's slowing down digestion so that as we slow down digestion, that also helps us feel more satisfied. And that also helps like control blood sugar. So it's helping control blood sugar. It's helping send signals that we're satisfied. It's releasing insulin, which also is helping manage our blood sugar control, helping us feel more energetic and also less hungry. So if we're producing GLP-1 adequately, our system is working well and we're producing right. So many people, there's reasons that their GLP-1 might not, maybe they're not producing enough. Maybe it's, it's working at a suboptimal level. Maybe it's never worked properly, right? And so maybe they do need that outside medication to mimic it. But for other people, when you hear someone say this is a GLP-1 food, it is not acting like the medication. It is not acting like your own GLP-1 that it's just like all of a sudden giving you a dose of it. It's not giving you a dose of GLP-1, but what it is doing is it's helping your body to produce GLP-1 the way it should. So that's sort of when someone says this is a GLP-1 soup, that's what they're really referring to. Maybe it's high in protein or fiber or both. Okay, but going back to the conversation we just had, we're now giving all these things labels like a GLP-1 soup, but really, like, again, that's what food was meant to do. Eating the right balance of foods and real whole foods, they're meant to do a lot of things. When we eat food, we release insulin. When we eat food, GLP-1 is going to be released. You know what I mean? So when we eat food, there are reactions that are happening in our body that should be naturally happening. We're just now talking about GLP-1. Back to that conversation, we've always should have been eating this way. We'll always, eat a way that to support our own GLP-1, the same way we eat to support our blood sugar. So when they say there is this food, this is acting as a GLP-1, all they're really saying is you're eating a whole food that is help supporting your whole hormonal balance.
I struggle with it because I really don't like all this marketing. That's this obsession over eat this whole food because it's supposed to be like this weight loss drug that everyone's obsessed with. Obviously, there's so much damage to that to label whole foods as like, eat this because it's a miracle weight loss drug. That's not how it works. That's damaging to look at food in that way.
Right.
But also, I see some benefit in it, as you explain, to know that this is not like this miracle weight loss drug. It's just allowing your body to do what it's meant to do.
Exactly.
So your body can do that on its own when it is eating the foods that it's meant to eat.
Right. And for some people, they're not going to be able to do that on their own and their bodies are not working efficiently. And there's a reason. But for the most part, most people, yes, exactly what you just said. If you're eating the right types of foods, your body is going to do the things that it should be doing. And you don't necessarily have to label it something.
We don't have to have some clicky, trendy name for it. It's just what your body's meant to eat. Yeah, it's so true.
Exactly.
I want to know a little bit more about your routines, what you do.
Mm,
So when you need, let's call it, I'm going to call it a reset because this
mm,
is like the word people love to use. If you feel like you need a reset, if you're just coming back from
mhm.
vacation, if you need to reconnect with your body, your health, you want to spring clean your wellness routine, something like that. What does that look like for you? What do you do when you need to reconnect with your body?
So I do a little 4-day reset. So every one of my books I've ever written, I do a 4-day cleanse. And what I always say though about a cleanse is I don't like a cleanse when you go on a cleanse and it's really extreme and then you just kind of go off of it. To me, there's no point. It's not doing it. So I like to look at a cleanse as, first of all, it always has whole real foods. It's not an extreme deprivation. It's not an all liquid cleanse or anything like that. It's all real whole foods. And I also look at it as something where you're really setting yourself up for day 5 after the 4-day cleanse. So it's like the framework or the skeleton for what you're going to continue to do. It's just sort of like the beginning of what your days will look like. So for example, especially like if I feel like I've overdone it, usually it's sugar. Usually it's I've had too much sugar. That's really my weakness. I've had too many chocolate chip cookies or whatever. Maybe I've had too many sort of makeshift meals where even if they were healthy foods, they were healthy packaged foods. And I just haven't focused on like cooking vegetables and cooking lean protein for whatever reason. It could be travel, it could be whatever. So what I'll do for my reset, I will start the day with water, like I mentioned. I will make sure that I'm hydrating really well throughout the day, getting in also with some electrolytes to make sure that I am really well hydrated. And I'll probably take out carbonation too, because I can overdo carbonated beverages, but we know that that can also bloat you sometimes. So like I'm just really hydrating well, also getting in probably some green tea. And then I will have a good high protein breakfast like eggs, but again, good pasture raised eggs, maybe a cup of berries for some of that fiber and water volume. And I also, this is something I do, I always add herbs and spices to every single meal. So even like eggs, I'll add like a little bit of dried oregano or dried basil, just because they add flavor, which makes your meal more satisfying. They also have antioxidants, so they're anti-inflammatory and for virtually 0 calories. So adding herbs and spices to every meal is like a great little hack for people just to get a little extra like antioxidant value. So anyway, so I'll do that. Then I'll have like a really good lunch of lots of green vegetables, a little bit of healthy fat, maybe some pecans. They're really high in antioxidants, maybe also some olive oil or both, some good high quality protein, maybe some wild salmon or some grass-fed steak. So I'll have one of those to get the protein and the vegetables. Lots of fluid. Maybe I'll have a high antioxidant fruit, again, like berries or a green apple. And I usually, again, put even some cinnamon on that just for that additional antioxidant. Cinnamon also can help stabilize blood sugar. Or I'll have a high antioxidant, high fiber vegetable like artichokes, just to, again, have a little bit of a snack there, but with a real antioxidant boost. And then dinner will be similar, a big salad to get in lots of veggies and like red peppers, again, those lutein and zeaxanthin in the red peppers, a big side of green veggies, maybe asparagus or broccoli rabe, and then some, again, high quality protein, wild salmon, if I didn't have that for lunch, or the grass-fed steak, and then, a good tea. I'd always have chamomile tea after dinner too to help me wind down and relax, and I'd make sure I have really good sleep, make sure I do a lot of good stretching. In addition to, I would probably do hot yoga each day just to get that good sweat in. I love hot yoga, but also I probably on a 4-day cleanse focus more on hot yoga and sweating versus doing weight training, which I do love to weight train, but I probably would focus more on that, like getting in the sweat, just like kind of decompressing a little more, really focusing in on my sleep routine. Yeah, that's kind of what I would do.
That sounds like a great day. Also,
Yeah.
like not at all depriving,
No,
all great
no.
things. Also, that's such a great hack to just add herbs and spices to every single
Yeah.
meal for that little boost. And it does taste so much more delicious.
Right. And then when your meals are more satisfying, you're not looking around for what else is next.
Yes. What about supplements?
Ooh, I love supplements. I'm a supplement person.
Me
So,
too. Tell me everything.
okay. I'll actually start in the morning. I'll just give you my routine. Before I have anything in the morning, like with that water, first I have a probiotic on an empty stomach. And then I wait 20 minutes to have anything at all. And then I probably have my water with lemon. So then I'll, drink some water for a while. And then about an hour and a half-ish later, I'll have my coffee. Sometimes with my breakfast, sometimes not. I try to have it with my breakfast, but oftentimes it's just by itself. So I'll have my coffee. And then when I have my breakfast, I will have my second cup. I have 2 cups of coffee. My second cup of coffee, I add collagen to. I'll add collagen to that. I use Ancient Nutrition collagen. And then when I have my breakfast, then I have the rest of the majority of my supplements, other than the ones I take at night. I'm a big glutathione fan, the master antioxidant. So I take that. I take fatty 15, which is C15. It's pure C15, which is it's actually a saturated fatty acid, but it's an essential fatty acid. It kind of acts as like the armor for your cells. So it really protects your cells. So it's excellent for energy, sleep, but really like aging, longevity. So I take that really for the long game, but I also really just for overall cellular protection. But I do also notice a difference with my sleep. I take my Lutamax 2020, which is the combo of the scientifically backed lutein and zeaxanthin, like we already talked about for eye protection. And eye specifically, I mean, I'm 52 and I've already had cataract surgery. So I really take that for 2 reasons. One, I'm all about really protecting my eyes. I've never had great eye health, just genetically haven't been great. So I'm really focused on, again, getting in that Lutamax. But also the other thing that I'm really focused on is brain health. Like that's the lane I'm super focused on is, brain health and really wanting to stay sharp. I want to live a lot of years, but I want to be sharp for those years. Lutein and zeaxanthin also help with cognition and brain health. I do take vitamin D too. I take a B complex. Sometimes take True Niagen for NAD. I go off and on with that. And then at night, I have chamomile tea to help with relaxation and just for calming. And that can actually build up in your system and help you sleep better. But then I also take magnesium glycinate, which I sometimes take that in the morning too. I take a magnesium that has multiple forms of magnesium. And then at night, I take a magnesium glycinate too to help with sleep.
I love hearing like that, like detailed, like on why you do everything. I think that's the important part is so many people are like, this influencer is taking this vitamin. So sure, I'll take it. But like that you have goals where you're like, I prioritize my eye health because I have not had good eyesight. And I also want my brain health. I want longevity. Like you are supplementing based on your goals and your body. I think that's a really important part that a lot of people miss with supplementation.
Right, exactly. And the other thing I say with supplements is like, you really need to change up your routine depending upon your lifestyle, what stage of life you're in, what's changed in your life. So if you've been doing the same routine for 20 years, like you definitely need to change that up. So it changes again based on stage of life, but also just your lifestyle and what's going on.
Can you share an example of like, what would you change based on your lifestyle? Is it like if you're really busy and stressed out, you need a certain supplement? Or is it again, going back to if you're looking at a lot of blue screens, you need eyesight? Like what's some examples of that?
Yeah. I mean, I think that the eyesight one was a perfect example. Like, let's say maybe you were like eating a really healthy diet and you weren't sitting at a desk job and now you're sitting staring at a screen all day. Maybe that's like, you know what? I'm going to add some Lutamax to my diet. Or maybe you've been having some gut issues, some digestive issues, and maybe you've just started working on improving your overall gut health. Maybe you want to add in the collagen because, you're like, well, I want to overall improve gut health a little bit for my gut lining. I'm going to maybe add in some collagen right now. And then maybe you feel like, that fine, that goes away. And it was kind of just a couple months. And you've also added in a probiotic. You feel really good with that. You stick with the probiotic. Maybe you don't need the collagen anymore at that moment. It shifts just based on what's going on and how you're feeling. Or maybe you've been really stressed and you're like, you know what? I'm going to add in something like a fatty 15 or glutathione for like overall cellular support.
That's such an important point. Your supplement routine not only can change, but should be changing as you change.
Or like maybe you always had dairy and now dairy doesn't agree with you. And so you need to add something like basic, like calcium to your diet. Or perhaps, you're not getting enough sunlight and your vitamin D levels are low. You need that vitamin D, but then you go back and your vitamin D levels are great. You're now out in the sun a lot more and maybe you don't need to take your vitamin D anymore. There's like so many different examples we could give.
Yeah, but I think that that's what we miss when we talk about having a supplement routine is that it should be changing to work with your lifestyle, with your body, and with your specific needs, which change often from every life phase, from seasons. It is always changing.
You got to go get your blood work done. I mean, you got to see the doctor and take a look at those numbers and see what's going on.
Test, don't guess.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I also take red yeast rice extract, speaking of blood work and numbers for cholesterol.
And that's a supplement?
Yeah.
Okay.
It acts like a statin, basically. So,
okay. I'm going to re-listen to this and like take notes for myself. Keri, we're going to wrap up with some rapid fire questions.
Ooh.
So your coffee order, I know you mentioned that you have coffee, 2 different cups.
Coffee, yep.
Second was collagen, but what do you have, creamer? What do you put in your coffee? Just black?
Organic grass-fed whole milk, a little bit.
So
That's it, with a little
you like
cinnamon.
dairy. Yeah, you're okay. I know some people are very like no dairy at all.
I don't do that much dairy. I'm very specific with the dairy that I do. I do like certain cheeses, like good high quality Parmesan cheese, a little bit. I don't do a lot, and I do good high quality.
Good quality.
Yeah. But in my coffee, I do a little bit like that.
Do you like that over like an almond milk, a cashew milk?
In my coffee, I like
In your
that. For me
coffee.
personally, yeah. I have no issue with dairy, so I have good high quality, a splash of it, and that's how I like my coffee.
I also feel like, I mean, obviously it's different if people can't tolerate dairy because a lot
Yes,
of
of
people can't,
course.
so it's so different. But I do think we had this craze where it was like nobody have any dairy
Yeah.
and nut milks or oat milk are the best thing. And in dairy and like a really, like you're saying, high quality dairy, there is like good protein, there's
Yes.
fats. Like, so there's a lot more nutrients actually if you can tolerate dairy and you find a
Yes,
really
if it
high
works
quality
for
one.
you. Exactly, if it works for you, for sure.
Just because oat milk was the popular milk for a second, it doesn't always mean it's the most healthy option for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, best advice you've ever received.
Can I give the advice I give my kids that I say
I would
over and
love
over?
the advice you give your kids.
I
would
say this
love it.
over and over. My whole thing I've always just said to them over and over is work hard, be kind, and be you. And if you do those three things, you can put your head down on your pillow every night and feel good.
I love that. It's so simple,
Simple.
but it's like, yeah, people forget to actually listen
Yeah.
to that.
If
yeah.
you just check those boxes each day, you've done the best you can and you're good.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, fill in the blank. If everyone had this one habit, it would change their life.
I think if everyone stayed properly hydrated, we'd have a lot less angry people. No, I think if everyone
That's
was
a great
properly
tip.
No, if everyone was properly hydrated, honestly, I think that people would eat better, they'd have better energy, they'd think better. You know, when you're not properly hydrated, your stress hormone is up. You're actually more anxious when you're not hydrated properly. And, you know, I talk about how all these pillars of a nutritious life work together. But that is one, like when you are properly hydrated, like game on for everything else.
Can you talk about what properly hydrated looks like? Is there a certain ounces of water we should aim for, electrolytes, all that?
Yeah, that's also going to be individual too. So I always say, you know, listen, the 8 cups a day, you know, the 64 ounces a day is probably not enough for many people. And for some people, it is enough. So are you feeling thirsty all the time? Or are you waiting till you're thirsty? Is your urine really yellow, really dark yellow colored? Then like you're not properly hydrated, right? You're not going to the bathroom, but getting in at least 64 ounces. For most people, they probably need more, especially if you're sweating and working out. You definitely need more. That's a very, very, very generic number. I'm just going to say, and it also has to do with weight, what your environment is. I mean, there's so many other factors. So I just want to give that caveat. But I do think for many people, they don't need electrolytes. They're getting enough of their different vitamins and minerals. They are getting those electrolytes in their food and they are properly hydrated. For many people, they do need them. You know, a certain, like even many women, as your estrogen goes down, it can be harder to hydrate and electrolytes can be really important during that time. If you're sweating a lot, if you're doing that hot yoga, if you're not eating a good whole food diet and so you're not getting adequate electrolytes, you might need some of those electrolytes to just keep, you know, the fluid in the right place. But for many people, their whole food diet is adequate and they don't necessarily, again, need it. And that's also going to be individual. But I think for many people that eat a really healthy diet and aren't getting enough, let's say sodium, potassium, for some people, it's key to get more from electrolyte packet, I mean.
From a supplement.
Yeah.
Okay, that totally makes sense. Last question for you, Keri. A book that changed your life.
I mean, there's so many. Business, personal, gosh, there's so many. I'm going to say I'll go with the spiritual side of things. The Untethered Soul.
Oh, classic.
I loved
Such
it.
a classic.
I know it is like kind of cliche, but I think for anyone that has the racing mind, it's a really good one to just calm you. I had to read it a few times. I think the first couple times
I was like, I don't understand this.
Exactly. I think the first couple times I read it, my mind was spinning too much to focus enough to read it. And then I read it on vacation. I said, okay, I'm going to read it on vacation when like I'm not thinking about a million other things. And that was when it really hit me. And I think it was very powerful. I mean, this is so many years ago now, but it's always one that I think about.
It really helped me like understand that my thoughts are not me, like to not feel so tied to my thoughts.
Totally.
Yeah,
Totally.
it's a really, really powerful one. Keri, where can everyone find you and get more of you?
Instagram, Keri Glassman, Keri Glassman on Instagram, as well as Nutritious Life Official on Instagram. And then, of course, nutritiouslife.com. And then also my podcast, Living a Nutritious Life, which you're going to be on, which I'm so excited.
Yes, you guys can go listen to my episode. I believe that should be going live in about a week or two. So go listen to that one on Keri's podcast. Keri, thank you so much. This was so fun. And I love what you're doing and your perspective on health.
Thank you so much. So fun.
In this episode, you heard Keri mention that she's a supporter of taking lutein and zeaxanthin supplements. I call myself the supplement queen, and I feel like I've tried it all, but I didn't know too much about these nutrients. I did some research after this conversation because Keri is a wellness thought leader, so I wanted to know if these were some highly underrated supplements that deserved more attention, and it turns out they are. Lutein and zeaxanthin are powerful antioxidants that are found in foods like kale, broccoli, and egg yolk, but research shows people are typically not eating enough in their diets. These nutrients are crucial for many functions in the body, including your eye health and vision performance and the health of your brain. Leave it to Keri to know the niche supplements that can make a major difference in your health. I know that eye health and brain health aren't as buzzy as hormone health or gut health. They don't get as much attention. But think about how important it is to support your eyes and your brain, especially in today's digital-first world where it feels like we are staring at screens all day long. You can find more information at www.lutamax.com/LFEA and find a high-quality lutein and zeaxanthin supplement to promote eye health at lutamax.com/where to buy. Find the links in the show description below. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I know I sure did. Please do not forget to rate, review, and subscribe. It really makes a huge difference for our show so we can keep growing and bringing the content that you love. If you want more info, you can find us at the Everygirl Podcast on Instagram or theeverygirlpodcast.com. Talk to you next week.